I'm Reed, just a normal 27-year-old guy talking about building wealth and getting your life together in your 20s. Alright, listen up, stop scrolling social media for a second, and pay attention. Because if you're stuck in that grind, thinking your only path to wealth is 40 years of slaving away at a desk, then you, my friend, are absolutely missing the point. The harsh truth, the real kick in the teeth, is that most normal folks, the ones busting their butts for a steady paycheck, they are never going to get truly rich. And it is not because they are not working hard enough, it is because they are playing the wrong game. They are following rules designed to keep them on the treadmill, not help them escape it. Think about it, every single unnecessary dollar you spend, every pointless subscription, every impulse purchase you make to feel good for 5 minutes. That is literally you firing an employee who could have been out there making more money for you. Each time you blow cash on something trivial, you are sending a tiny worker who could have been compounding your wealth, packing, out the door, unemployed. Sounds harsh. Good, because sometimes you need a little dose of reality to wake up. Today, we are talking about buying back your life, about achieving something I call CoastFIRE. And no, it does not mean you are retiring to a beach in Bali at 30. It means something far more powerful. It means that by 27, I hit a point where I never have ever had to save for retirement. Again, I still work. But now I only work on things that I actually give a damn about. If I stopped investing right this second, today I would have millions waiting for me when I am 65. And I am just a normal dude. I went to school, got a 9 to 5 job, invested in stable, boring stocks. But here is the kicker. I was absolutely relentless. Diligent with my money throughout my entire 20s. And that, my friends, is what CoastFIRE gives you. It is a critical level, a milestone you absolutely need to pass. It does not mean you can fully retire tomorrow, but it means you can shift your entire focus, your energy, into things you genuinely care about. For me, this gave me incredible freedom, options, in my late 20s, to pursue my passions, to build something I love, instead of being chained to a soul-sucking insurance job. And today, I am going to walk you through, step by step, exactly how you can reach CoastFIRE much earlier in your life, ideally before you even hit 30. If you play your cards right, make the smart moves in your 20s, you can seriously set yourself up for incredible freedom in your late 20s, your 30s, and far beyond. A lot of this is concrete advice, stuff you can implement today right now. And if you are in your early 20s, especially, this is your personal cheat code. This is the roadmap to bypassing years of financial anxiety. But even if you are a little late to the game, do not sweat it. There is still plenty of time to turn this ship around. You can realistically achieve this in 5 to 10 years. So we are going to walk through these tips, help you find your number, and get you there. Welcome to WL Learn Wednesday. Let us go get it. Let us start with defining what CoastFIRE actually is, because you probably hear FIRE thrown around. Financial independence, retire early, and I have been a huge fan of this movement for a long time, especially in my early 20s. I would literally binge these FIRE videos on YouTube. Hour after hour. The philosophy behind it is super simple. You basically do 2 main things, and you start doing them as early as humanly possible. You live as cheaply as you possibly can. And your investments can fully cover your cheap lifestyle. You are considered financially free. CoastFIRE is a specific version of that. It means you have accumulated enough money, such that the money itself, on its own, through the magic of compounding, will grow into millions by the time you reach traditional retirement age, without you having to add another dime. Think about that for a second. You can literally just coast to retirement. You have done all the heavy lifting, all the aggressive saving and investing. And now the compounding is working tirelessly for you, which means you can completely change your work situation. You can take a more relaxing job, a lower paying job, do something higher risk, something you've always dreamed of. You do not have to focus on investing a lot anymore. That is the key here. Once you hit your CoastFIRE number, you can pivot, shift into lower paying, more flexible work, or chase those passion projects. FIRE has a few different levels. CoastFIRE is one of the earlier ones. Then there is full FIRE, which means you have enough financial independence to just stop working entirely, to fully retire. And then there is fat FIRE, which basically means you have accumulated so much wealth that you can live whatever extravagant life you want. Of course, CoastFIRE is a monumental first step, so we have got to get there. That is our focus today, mathematically. The entire FIRE movement, at its core, is really just a math problem, nothing more. So here's how you can calculate your CoastFIRE number, and eventually, your full FIRE number, because you always need concrete numbers with these kinds of things. You need a clear goal in your head, a North Star to shoot for. First, you need to calculate your basic monthly expenses, every single dollar. Then, you need to figure out the difference between your income and your expenses. This, my friends, is the amount you will be investing every single month. And again, you need to make this gap as wide as possible because this money is not for spending. It is going straight into the markets to become money that works for you. Then, we need to make some reasonable assumptions, right? Like maybe your monthly expenses will grow over time, your investments will grow, inflation will play its part. I personally use this website for my calculations. This is not an ad, I have just found it to be a genuinely useful tool. The Wallet Burst, CoastFIRE Calculator. What you can do is plug in your current money, your desired retirement age, your current age, inflation rates, the income required to live, all these details, and it will spit out your CoastFIRE number. For me, I like to assume around $5,000 to $6,000 a month in spending money for retirement, and I go with pretty conservative stock market returns and inflation rates. You can play around with those numbers to get the specific goal that you want to shoot for. CoastFIRE is absolutely awesome for a few key reasons. Number 1, it helps you build the incredibly valuable habit of being cheap, not relying on external things for happiness, and it forces you into the habit of saving and investing early in your life. But I would say the main reason CoastFIRE is so powerful, and this is what I personally use this philosophy for, is that it gives you the ultimate freedom, the ability to switch into something you truly want to do and just break even, simply to go chase your dreams. So for me, I was working for a massive insurance company. It was a high salary, no doubt, but it was excruciatingly boring. I was not passionate about what I was working on at all, and I kind of thought to myself, you know what? I do not need to be making $12,000 a month anymore. Doing a job that actively drains my soul, I can now go switch and make $2,000 to $3,000 a month. But I am doing something I actually enjoy now. I am traveling, working on things like this YouTube channel, diving into my own software projects. And with this freedom, I hope that eventually it will all pay off, and I will earn even more in the future. This CoastFIRE cushion has allowed me to take much higher risks, which is something I absolutely could not have done without this financial safety net. And as long as I break even, I am still going to have millions waiting for me when I retire. I no longer need to contribute to retirement. Of course I want to, and I am going to continue to. But the point is, I do not need to. And that, my friends, is a very powerful thing to be able to say. I want everyone to get to a place where they can achieve CoastFIRE, and then eventually, full fire. So, let us lay out a clear roadmap for getting to CoastFIRE, because honestly, the earlier you start, the better it is going to turn out for you, for sure. Step 1, acquire a skill that is going to pay well. Teach you a lot and allow you to learn and meet people. Focusing on income is the absolute first part of this entire equation, because without a solid, meaningful income, you are simply not going to hit your number, and you really cannot get paid well without a marketable skill. You can learn these skills in multiple ways. You always have formal education. Although, let us be honest, that is not as important as it once was. You can do trade schools, you can do boot camps, community colleges, even good old YouTube University will work out for some people. For me, I picked a cheap, in-state school, got a computer science degree, and learned a skill that pays the bills, which is coding. You do not need to get fancy. Just pick something you are okay at, something you can put up with. If you like solving problems, and reading documentation, and do not like talking to people as much, something like engineering might be a good path to pursue. But if you love people, and you do not like sitting down, banging your head against a wall solving problems, something like sales or a business degree could totally suffice. And this might be controversial, too, but I would not chase passion right away. You want to learn a skill with high leverage, something that is going to earn you serious money, and pursue things that will genuinely help you in the future. Again, it is just something to learn, not necessarily something you are going to passionately enjoy every single day, something that pays the bills and gives you valuable skills. You absolutely need income to succeed with CoastFIRE. There is no way around it, and I only got to my number because I was a software engineer, which paid very, very well throughout my entire 20s. Step 2, please, for the love of all that is financially sound, avoid unnecessary debt. Now, I understand that some debt is absolutely necessary, especially for school or an investment in education for certain fields. And a house can be a good investment too, depending on your specific circumstances. Debt can even be used as a tool for investment. And I am not talking about that kind of debt. I am talking about the bad, destructive kind of debt. Things to be extremely careful of. Number 1, paying a lot of money for a bad degree. That is basically a death sentence for your financial independence journey. So do not do that. Make sure your degree has a high, measurable return on investment. You can make college as cheap as humanly possible through in-state options, scholarships, part-time jobs, and stuff like that. And another big one is a car. Do not ball out on a car. Do not take on a massive loan for some fancy ride. I would buy a cheap car, something reliable, and buy it in cash if you can. Also, getting into a mortgage way too soon can be an incredibly bad decision. I cannot tell you how many people I have seen just completely overstretch themselves, buying a house that they probably should not be buying right now. That is something to stay far, far away from until you are much more financially stable. And it is also going to seriously handicap your freedom potential. If you have this massive payment that you absolutely cannot get out of, debt will literally eat away at your investment potential and basically harm your ability to invest properly. So only take on debt if it is absolutely 100% necessary. I avoided debt like the plague, and it turned out very nicely for me. You can still build credit. You can still use credit cards smartly to build your credit score, but you do not need to take on crushing debt to build this score. That is a lie. I've only used credit cards, and my credit score is almost 800. The next step, Step 3, and it is pretty closely tied to Step 2, is just be cheap in general. Like income is the first part, right? But if you are making $150,000 a year, it does not mean a single thing if you cannot save any of it. So, a couple of things I did to be super cheap in my 20s. I lived with roommates, the times I lived with my parents. My rent was very minimal most of the time. I never, ever inflated my lifestyle. I was not buying dumb things just to make myself look cool, especially when you are young. You kind of have to embrace being a little bit cheap. There is no need to buy stuff like that. Also, some sneaky things that could seriously harm you. Things like alcohol. Obviously, from a physical perspective and a money perspective, subscriptions, overpriced meals, eating out constantly. These are things you can cut today, and really should have been cut yesterday. So definitely, have fun once in a while, but maintain a cheap, frugal lifestyle where it is necessary, because this will allow you to invest more translation, get you to your freedom much sooner. Finally, and this is the big one, this is the whole enchilada, is take that difference between your income and your expenses and invest it consistently into long-term stable assets. So I am not a financial advisor, I have to say that, but I am a guy who has saved and invested his way to over $400,000 in his 20s. So here are some of the strategies that I personally used. Number 1, I use tax-advantaged accounts wherever possible, because taxes, man, they can literally eat away at your hard-earned gains. I was a huge fan of the 401ks the company matches, the Roth IRA, the HSA, all that stuff was absolutely great for me. And then I also had an individual taxable account as well. I was not chasing get rich quick schemes. Every single time I did, there was a much higher chance I got burnt, as opposed to actually making money on it. So eventually, I just turned fully into the long-term stable things.